Every 90 days, you get to reinvent a campaign or creatively be able to execute that through the process. So it is so fun because everybody has a different outlook and a vision inside their head that we can bring to life.
Hi, I'm Melanie Barr. Welcome to the She Built It Experience with Melanie. You're here because you want to experience the life and business that you crave. Join me as I talk to women who have successfully built it, a career and business that they love. We dive into the topic of how they built it and talk about everything from having the courage to make career leaps to the details of how to lead effectively, create successful teams, implement strategies for growth, and infuse tech innovation. Magic happens when we focus on the part of ourselves and our business that brings us joy. So let's dive in. Traci Szemkus is the co-founder of WorkPlay Branding. She creates custom content creation for your brand through photography, videography, and graphic design. Thank you for joining us, Traci. You are the co-founder of WorkPlay Branding. Tell us about it and what led you to launch your business.
I co-founded WorkPlay Branding with my daughter. I graduated actually as a chiropractor.
So often we go a different career path.
My husband and I, with our two young kids, decided to start off in Seattle, Washington. My husband graduated 2 years before me. And so the plan was, because he waited around for me for 2 years, that I was going to build up his practice. So we weren't going to start two practices at once with two small kids. So I fell in love with building up his practice while he was in practice. And I fell in love with the marketing and the business side of things. And that's what started my career. And I never went into practice. I just built up clinics and then sold them to other doctors and started consulting on the business side of things with female doctors all over the world. When Lyrik was in high school, we started really talking about, she was so interested in business. Like her first job was as our clinic manager at 16 years old.
I had my first job at 15, so I love that.
It was great. It's great to see how you did as a parent. She was such a leader in there. She's always been on soccer teams. And so that leadership pulled over and she was just mature enough to handle the clinic at that point. And we started developing systems together. And I feel like that's really where WorkPlay started, very organically, but it shifted into when Lyrik went off to college. She went to college in Miami and we were still in Seattle. Right before she went, she started to do fashion blogging. And so she was really asking questions about how do I reach out to brands and things like that. And she would follow step-by-step advice that I gave her, advice that other people I'm sure gave her. It was great because all through college, she was really building up her networks, doing things that are far above her age. We constantly talked business when she was young and she was so interested in it. I was too, to the point where I have a son and my husband were just like, oh my gosh, they cannot stop talking about business. And it organically grew like more towards the end of her college career. And then we just got started. I had some existing clients that I was consulting as far as in healthcare, and we just started creating content for them. And Lyrik really had the background for the content. I didn't really have a background in photography at all or videography. And she forced me off the auto settings on the camera. And we started from that point. She was so particular about how she wanted to get shot, how she wanted to be portrayed with her blogging, that it carried on through college, like I said. And then I got interested in bringing this to business owners. Because I was doing so much consulting, if they only could have great content, visual content out there, they would show up online so differently. They could really promote themselves more. And that was the start of it. We started off just doing that. It was a lot of experiments, as companies are in the beginning. But we have molded it, a very complex process, into a streamlined system. We both have very different styles in business, and it really brings a lot of depth to our business as well.
Usually that's the best when you have two different strengths and can bring them together. And it has to be so fun to work as a mother-daughter team. I have 9-year-old twins, girl, boy. My 9-year-old daughter gave her access to my Canva. And her teacher came home and she says, not only is she doing her own projects at school, she's creating Canva graphics for all the other students for their projects too. So she really likes the social media aspect. And growing up, I was an only child. I went on lots of business trips. with my family. And it's interesting because I sat through so many meetings because I was an only child. It's interesting what you take in when you're younger. And I am so thankful because it helped shape my career in business. Having all of that information sink in just naturally when I was younger. The business that you're creating is so smart because it's hard for companies that are focused on what they're doing. You mentioned the medical field, but you're focusing on being in the medical field, but you also need branding that's going to be appealing, that bring the people to your business. And it's hard, as I was talking to Lyrik, to try to break into that with a larger agency if you don't need necessarily the larger agencies. So what you're doing is making it accessible.
Yes, it's access to the small business owner and the startups that have limited budget for this. And so many people that are small business owners, they wear all the hats in a lot of areas of their business, like you said. But one of the hats that's really underestimated with the time and the number of steps is content. You need content for everything right now. Visually, you have to show up everywhere. Print seems to be making a comeback. Like, it's so funny how that works.
The cycles.
Yeah, exactly. But you need it for print. You need it for social media. That's an obvious choice for everyone. But for marketing campaigns going out there, sometimes it could be a 5-figure campaign if you're using the traditional routes. And so we found this, I guess the missing piece is what a lot of people call it, of getting that custom content to wrap around your business goals. I love the process. I love where we've taken it up to this point. We're constantly innovating it and making it more relevant to what is going, because it's so trendy, right? But that's a great part about what we're doing is we can ebb and flow with the businesses. We can help them pivot throughout the year. Every 90 days, you get fresh content. Every 90 days, you get to reinvent a campaign or creatively be able to execute that through the process. So it is so fun because everybody has a different outlook and a vision inside their head that we can bring to life.
And you take that off of their plate so they don't have to think so much about it. And business owners so appreciate when that happens.
Yeah, it frees them up to do other things. And it also frees them up to get more creative. It frees their mind up to say, okay, what are the possibilities instead of, oh my gosh, I have to create a post, or where am I going to get this image, or where's that going to come from? They get really excited then. And that is the best thing in business, especially as a small business. If you can get that momentum, if you could have fun again with it. And so that's what we're seeing. And I'd love to be a part of that.
Yeah. And what you're doing is fun. It's like, I look at She Built It. What I do is fun. And if you're business minded and you constantly want to learn and figure out how to scale and grow and do more, it's a really fun business to be in.
Yes, absolutely.
You help business owners create growth and income in less time. Share with us how you do this.
Yes, absolutely. We do that through the planning process. They are the experts of their own brand. We have so many industries, so many people coming in to this method that we can't be experts at everything. We've seen some people come in, we can give them insight on that. But what we are experts at are getting the visuals to align with their goals. And so it's really cool to have them brainstorm with us. We can get them a content plan in a few weeks with research involved, with who they are aesthetically, what they want their audience to feel, what they want their audience to experience when they come inside their branded world. We do that really well. And that's a collaborative process with them. They don't have to be an expert at creating the content plans or creating the actual visuals, but they do have to be a part of the process. As a small business owner, a lot of times you're doing that on your own in your head, and it takes so long to plan that out. And then you have to try it, and then you might have to try it again and again. We come in and we listen and we create the plan. Within 2 to 3 weeks, we can get a really good plan for them down. And then it's just like clockwork. It gets more depth and more depth throughout the year. It's a year-long process. A lot of people will renew and they'll use that as a tool inside their business versus just a one-off time. The first time we meet with them, you have to tell us your wishes, your wants, how you want it to end up. And then also your goals, because we wrap the process around your goals. This is not just about posing people in front of a sign or in front of a building. This is documenting what they do, getting in depth. A lot of people say that they're so focused now on a new way of creating content, a new way of introducing it to the world. They see it more in a branded way as well. They own it after a while. And they said that was the missing piece, the missing link to what they're having a block with. So that has fast-tracked a lot of entrepreneurs. And they've told us that. They've told us that's a great part of having one team. doing all of this because a lot of people have tried marketing companies. Obviously, with a big retainer, that's one of our things where it's accessible to everyone at our price point. So when people have tried other ways to get this, it has been a little bit tricky because they've had to pay the huge upfront costs. A lot of people have said that there's not enough content that comes out of marketing companies that they need for these campaigns. So we give them all the content. That's another thing, how we fast track this process is that we're not just giving them 100 assets after one branding shoot. Like they're getting up to 1,200 assets, images or videos just from one day of shooting. And so they get to choose what is best for their brand and what they were thinking in their head, because we give them a lot of different angles, a lot of different focal lengths and things like that with the photography and the video aspect of it. And so they feel like they can mold that in a faster way as well. And to create things that they just would never try with a one-off shoot.
And you can do so much with 1,000 images.
Yes, you can.
I think the key to what you're doing is diving deep with the clients, because I've had to piece things together where it probably didn't come together quite right because so many different people were doing the moving parts.
Yes, absolutely.
It's really smart that you go that deep with clients on what their wishes are, what their goals are. And honestly, it speeds, when you talk about creating systems, you can tell that you do this because it will speed the process.
It does. And having one team under one roof, we have a design team, we have an editing team, we have a content creation team. We have this huge team. And for this price point, it took a while to get here. We've really innovated our style with it. It didn't look like this in the beginning, but it is what people wanted. It's innovated from like requests and from what people were really needing and what was relevant.
And it seems like you're doing a really good job of listening too, to what is needed and what the clients need.
Absolutely. We have to. It's an evolving field. A lot of these business owners that have been small business owners for the last 10 to 15 years, they built it differently than what they have to sustain it now. The way that they built it is not the way that they're going to continue on having that success. So it's a huge learning curve for them. And this, like I said, fast tracks it.
You have a co-founder, Lyrik. Share with us how you work together and what are your individual strengths, do you think, that complement each other?
Being her mom, I know a lot of things about her that typically co-founders would not know. I know her habits and I know she knows mine. It's been an interesting route, though, to getting to where we are right now, learning to deal with the little nuances of being family and working together. But one of the things that we've always had is a very close relationship, but not necessarily typical mom-daughter. Like I had Lyrik really young. I was pretty strict with her growing up. So we have a really respectful relationship, I would say. I let her go off on very creative directions and I learn a lot from her as well. Just being able to be in business with her, I feel very energetic. I have a lot of momentum, very comfortable and confident that going forward, nothing is going to happen that might happen with typical co-founders.
Magic happens when we focus on the part of ourselves and our business that brings us joy. What is one way that you make sure to find and live your joy each day?
I hit rock bottom at 17. Ever since then, I have learned to design my life the way I want it, meaning intentionally design it with the most outrageously successful scenarios already built into all of the categories: family, friends, income, travel. The tip that I can give anybody else is to think like that. Design it the most successful outcome, and not just successful with money, successful with your relationships, successful with experiences, success in being happy in the moment. I've always considered myself a happy person. I get what I want because I design it. I'm happy to know that I'm in charge of it. That's the one thing that I tell a lot of business owners: get into a rhythm that sometimes can be lonely, sometimes can be very full of pressure. And I always tell them, what do you want it to be? Write it out, design it, and just go forward with that. And it's almost like a weight lifted off to you when you know that you're in charge of it. You are in charge of it. You have to persevere through a lot. It's not always going to go as planned, obviously, but if you plan it and intentionally go for it like that, like it will turn out. Oh, and that brings me so much joy.
I love that you're chasing big goals and dreams like this. It's fun to be around other people that are doing it too.
Absolutely. That's like the biz bestie movement. I love that. Lyrik and I have actually found a couple other businesses that are mother-daughter run. And we just recently went to Mexico on a mastermind retreat. We did a lot more than just masterminding, but added a lot of fun in there. It was so cool to see how they were working together, and we just got along. We were almost exactly the same ages of them as well. So it was nice because when you find like those aligned friends, business associates, dive deep into those. Try to like gain like meaningful relationships in that area. And I feel like that will make it all so much better and so much easier. And you have somebody supporting you in your corner in that way, especially if you're a solopreneur and trying to do it on your own. Find those relationships, because then it gets exciting that like other people are going through it. And I know a lot of people say that, but you find a lot of comfort in that.
You have been so fun to chat with today. And I love the business you're building. It's so fun and so needed for so many.
Thank you. We love doing it. So definitely hit us up if you're interested and you need us.
Share with us how and where we can find you.
WorkPlayBranding.com. You can go to our website. We encourage everyone to book a call to get on, because we want to make sure that we're a good fit for you and you are a good fit for us. There's no pressure. It's a great process. We encourage you to do it because it makes your life so much easier as a business person.
Thank you for joining us today. I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me at hello@shebuiltit.com, on our She Built It website, or at She Built It on social. Thank you to my editor, Rich Streffolino, who always makes us sound good. Until next time, let nothing stop you from experiencing the life and business that you crave.